Welcome to another episode of the House Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television. Welcome in, House Huddlers. Huddle up. All right.
All right. It's good enough. Good enough.
We didn't even talk about that pregame, so pre-show.
I'm a pro now.
Welcome into episode 93 of the House Huddle Podcast. As always, I am Rob Schwartz. This is our midweek episode, so we have Bob Weiss with us. This is going to be we kind of have a dual name here. We talked about it a little bit pre-show. Trace Armstrong easily comes to mind, but I think also because it's our age and they were a pretty good defense at the time, but Adewale Agunleye, the Prince himself.
Yeah, as a player, it was kind of a big deal when we traded for him, right, from the Dolphins. It's a big deal, big final kind of piece of that defensive line to get us, to the Super Bowl and stuff. It was, great player, good player. If we're just talking about player, I think Agunleye was a better player, but Trace Armstrong was, the man right when we were still kids. But Trace Armstrong is still having an impact on the current Chicago Bears. So
that's
I think
true.
He's got to kind of get his mention here. Eberflus, for you don't know, he's Eberflus's agent, and I believe he's also Shane Waldron's agent. So, kind of definitely got
his agent too. I think he's Ryan Poles' agent.
He might. Oh, is he? Okay, he might be. Yeah, so he's definitely got his, thumbprint still all over.
Yeah, here. Exactly. All right. Well, as always, we are going to touch base on all of the topics that have kind of come up through the last few days as we get ready to see the Chicago Bears go into Week 5 against the Carolina Panthers. And then we'll take a break. We'll come back, hit on the injuries, and then do our opponent preview and predictions. Before we do that, though, if you are just listening for the first time, please hit the subscribe button. If you're a Bears fan, you're listening to this, hit the subscribe button. You're automatically entered into a free Chicago Bears jersey giveaway. That's all you got to do. There will be a giveaway when we hit 750 subscribers. Boom, you have a chance. That's it.
Never going to get better odds for a free jersey than that. 1 out of 750. Let's go.
Exactly. So this brings us to our news or noise segment. As always, I'm going to throw out some topics that have come up throughout the week. We have a couple that have actually come from one from a YouTube subscriber and one from a social media source, which actually it seems like you saw something similar from another source on social media. But basically, I'm going to throw something out and we're going to decide, is it newsworthy or is it just noise? So news or noise. And the first one up is, and this is kind of a feed off of our episode that Justin and I recorded after the game, the post-game episode. Shane Waldron learned from his mistakes and the offense is trending up. News or noise, Bob?
So I'm going to go a little bit of newsy noise there, if that's allowed.
It is, because that's where I was going with it too.
Yeah, offense is definitely trending up. They're getting better every game. This one was a much more efficient, turnover-free game, positive plays except for all the penalties. As far as Shane Waldron learned from his mistakes, I think he's learning from his mistakes. That first half was still better, but still getting a little too cute with some stuff like that second drive, or maybe it was even the first drive. He still did a play-action wide receiver screen, and that was the play that Braxton Jones got called for a blindside block. And I promise you that is Shane Waldron's fault and not Braxton Jones' fault. That play design was basically designed to get him a blindside block. That defensive end crashed on the play action and then saw it was a screen. So he went and followed the screen, and Braxton Jones is just right there because that's what he was supposed to be, I'm assuming. And then he ran into him and we got a penalty. That's just kind of cute nonsense that just doesn't need to happen. If you're going to throw a wide receiver screen, just throw a wide receiver screen and out-execute the defense. Just that in and of itself should be enough to get a positive play. You don't need to add these extra wrinkles that are just adding confusion to things. So He's getting better. He definitely got better with some of the personnel decisions, obviously at the goal line, but even at the goal line, he brings in the extra jumbo package, right? But that wasn't more of it was almost like a big middle finger to all the criticism about having DeAndre Carter block for a play. Like, okay, I guess we're just going to go so far extreme on the other side. Watch this. I can do this rather than just.
But it worked.
It worked. It worked. I'm not like criticizing it. Obviously, he did alter his point of view on the goal line plays, but it was almost like I said, just such an obvious, just like, all right, just watch this type way rather than just doing what's right because it's right.
It probably also helped that DeAndre Carter didn't play.
So, you think DeAndre Carter will line up in that fullback spot instead of I'm blanking on the center's name now. Sorry.
Doug Kramer.
Doug Kramer. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I said it. Just throw anyone in there. That's a big body. And I think I heard other people saying, just even if it was Andrew Billings, like you throw someone in there. I mentioned Refrigerator Perry, and you just plow through it, push through it, use a power formation. No more of this cute shotgun nonsense. No more direct stat nonsense.
And here's the thing, I'm actually okay with using shotgun at the goal line. Like in our preseason episode, I thought that Caleb Williams' touchdowns were going to be inflated this year because that was going to be their goal line offense. That's fine. Caleb Williams is your playmaker. You got to commit. You have Keenan Allen who can get open. You have Roma Dunze who can out jump somebody. That's fine if that's your goal line offense. So just line up and do that. Don't line up in that and then run. Yeah. So it's just it's getting better. It's getting better.
It is, and we're only in week 4,
right.
So
right. So I said newsy noise. This whole thing would be news if it said Shane Waldron is learning, but it said learned. So he's still got some room to go.
I left that open for that same reason because I also wanted to go that same route. I don't think he's completely learned from his mistakes, but I do agree with you. I think he's learning. It's progressing, but that actually brings us into question number 2. Caleb Williams throwing for less than 175 yards, no turnovers, at least 1 touchdown, and the Bears win makes him a game manager and essentially a bust of a number 1 pick. I've seen this all over the place on social media that he's a bust. But then you go back to week 3, he throws for 390 some yards, 2 touchdowns, has multiple turnovers. He's also labeled a bust. So it's like, which way are we going here?
Just that in itself makes it noise. It's noise. It's noise. It's noise. It's noise. I mean, like he's still learning, and they're 2 bad teams that they beat, and the Titans and the Rams aren't necessarily a bad team, but they came in heavily beat up, right? And the 2 games they won, their quarterback didn't make any mistakes. The Titans game, he was very safe, very cautious, and he let Will Levis make the mistakes, right? And this game, he had no turnovers. He did manage the game. And let's, the stats might have looked different if the running game wasn't so efficient, right? One thing about being on this podcast regularly and having my thoughts and opinions out there, just last week I was preaching that Caleb Williams is the identity. He's never going to have less than 35 attempts. The Bears aren't going to come out here and run 30 times at 4.5 yards a carry. If you're expecting that, that's not what's going to happen. And the Bears ran 28 times, I think, for 4.7 yards per carry, right? But, I mean, that's smart from Waldron's perspective. The run was working. They were getting enough yardage on first and second down. So why go away from that? Just keep running. And then they did break, a pretty big one. So all that yardage went on the rush yards. If that's just a normal run, maybe Caleb gets some more passing yards and he breaks the 200-yard mark. But, he did what was needed to win. And then the last kind of just this whole game manager thing, like, are you going to tell me that a prime Aaron Rodgers wasn't also a game manager? Like, you need to manage the game and then hope you just add some spectacular plays on top of it. That's one thing I don't think Justin Fields ever understood, that you can't just have 30 spectacular plays a game. You got to have 30 boring plays a game and 3 spectacular plays. And, Caleb Williams in this game had 2 really good throws. They had that throw over the middle to Komet, and that touchdown throw to DJ Moore, I think, is crazy underrated throw about how just good that was on the money. Dr. Truth did mention it in the comments of your guys' last video. He saw it too. Just, it's not just a normal throw. That was a really, really good throw. So,
and he wasn't even the first read. So, like, it took him a minute to get there. He was either the second or third, according to DJ Moore. So he did do his progressions, and that right there tells you something. And I'm actually in the process of writing an article right now about comparing Caleb Williams to Justin Fields because of the power rankings that came out. And I'm not going to spoil that article, but one of the things that you just talked about is funny because it's actually what Justin Fields is doing this year is, right, or at least in this last game,
eliminating the negatives.
Yeah, he's just taking these small, shorter passes under 10 yards or within 10 yards. But he still threw for over 300 because he had a few splash plays in there. And like, those are the plays that we're missing right now from Caleb Williams. We're not seeing the big deep balls connect yet still. We saw some miscues again in this game. One of them to DJ Moore, who kind of slowed down. I felt like Caleb probably could have put a little bit more touch on it, but at the same time, I don't know if it was a safety or corner was coming over at the same time. So like, if he did put too much on it, it could have been picked. I also know DJ Moore was, playing a little bit banged up in that game. He was injured, limping at times, went off the field, came back on the field. So I don't know if that had something to do with it, but it just seems like they're not fully on the same page.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you guys mentioned it in the win episode too. Like it will come. Caleb Williams has too much arm talent. He's got too much of the right way of seeing the fields that like eventually it will come. And you saw some of it with the dudes against the Colts. Some of those intermediate, not super deep balls, but intermediate balls getting complete. And when you get those 20, 30-yard chunk plays just because you're, quarterback threw a dime, like that's momentum, Yeah. So that'll come.
Yeah. So just real quick, I threw this out on social media this week. Through the first 4 games, Caleb Williams is on pace for 3,345 passing yards, 336 rushing yards for a total of 3,681 total yards. Only 13 passing touchdowns, which I know you commented on there that's the one stat I feel like does need to get improved upon as the season goes. Shockingly, no rushing touchdowns. I'm sure he'll get 1 or 2 in there, but he hasn't had any yet. Interception 17, which is high, but at the same time, I don't really have a problem with it from a rookie quarterback.
That's right where we put him in our preseason prediction episode, 15-ish, whatever, and he'll calm down from that pace and probably finish with 14 or 15.
Exactly. And then 4 fumbles lost, a QB rating in the 73 range, and a completion percentage around 62%. So room for improvement in certain areas, but through the first 4 games, we're just seeing continuous growth from each game.
And if those end up being the pace number, other than the touchdown passes, like those are pretty good, disappointing numbers. I'll take that.
All right. So this next news or noise actually comes from one of our YouTube subscribers. I don't know how to say this. I'm just going to give it a chance here, but it's
Akamatsu Creative.
Akamatsu. Yeah, Akamatsu Creative. They brought up and asked for us to talk about it in a future episode, so we're going to do it now. The Bears, as in the Chicago Bears, Bears fans, and then Bears podcasters, not just us, but also main ones as well, like CHGO, have forgotten how good Khalil Herbert is. Is that news or is that noise?
So I'm going to go actually just noise on that one. And I don't mean to say Khalil Herbert isn't that good. But, the kind of point of, I think, this topic is that Khalil Herbert should be getting more touches. And I think trying to force Khalil Herbert to get more touches is what Shane Waldron was trying to do and why there was all these crazy personnel decisions in these first few games. Like, the reality of the situation is you can't just take a player and say, I got to get them more touches just because I want to get them more touches. They have to get more touches because those touches are purposeful. So on the first, on early downs, who do you want fighting for those first 4 yards of every drive? It's Roschon Johnson. That's the guy who's going to get those yardage, right? On third down, if you got to pass protect, who do you want back there? It's Roschon Johnson. Roschon Johnson is your best pass protecting running back. When you're going to throw and you need someone to make a play for Caleb Williams, who is that? That's DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is a better playmaker than Khalil Herbert. He's the best playmaker on the team. So Khalil Herbert is a good back, but he's just kind of level across the board in his skill set. He kind of does everything pretty good, nothing great. Where you have Roschon Johnson is also balanced. He really doesn't have too many weaknesses, but he's got, these strengths in kind of short yardage situations. And then DeAndre Swift, has strengths in the kind of the playmaking explosiveness. So Roschon and DeAndre are really very complementary backs. And it just relegates Khalil Herbert to just a pure backup at this point. That doesn't mean he's not any less of a good running back. It just means that he is who he is, and he can't be who he's not. And one more thing, I know that it's something I brought up back in our preseason about whether we were going to keep Justin Fields. Now we're talking way back in February, March. Having Justin Fields in your backfield will inflate your running backs' rushing numbers, because very rarely does Justin Fields ever turn around and just hand it off to the running back. There's always that kind of option. Is Justin Fields going to keep it or not? And that keeps eyes from the defensive backfield on Justin Fields. So there's always one, maybe two players less in the box, like they always say, attacking the running back because they're attacking Justin Fields. So Khalil Herbert, while he's a nice back, he's a guy who averages 4.7 yards per carry. He's got to get more. Well, he might not do that in a different offense without Justin Fields pulling the defense off of, the running back. If I was the Cowboys or if I'm the Chiefs, I might be calling the Bears. Maybe they already have, to see Khalil Herbert's availability. But just right now, he's just not really the top option for any play that I could see them call.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a different take on this. I agree with most of what you said. To me, Khalil Herbert is a just pure runner, right? Like you talked about the pass blocking. He cannot pass block at all. That is, in my opinion, the main reason why he doesn't get on the field as much as most people who are rooting for him would like. But what I find with Khalil Herbert is he's one of those guys that if he doesn't get a certain amount of touches, that yards per carry number is drastically lower. He's also coming off that ankle injury last year, and I feel like he hasn't been quite as explosive when he came back at the end of the season. I don't know if that's still limiting him to this day. You would think it wouldn't be, but it's possible. But when he gets a low amount of carries, his yards per carry is pretty low, under 3 yards. It's when he hits like 14, 16 that it inflates. And the reason I think that is happening, and if you think about it, you'll see him break off a 60-yard run, which is going to inflate that number. But then you look at, what he's done, in fact, just this year, he hasn't broken 3 yards per carry at all this season.
What's his high in carries, though? 6?
What was that?
What's his high carry number in a game this year?
So I had 2023 pulled up, but let me just quickly grab 2024.
I thought you had it up, but
he had 4.
4, right? So he just hasn't had the ability to keep pounding the rock, and
right. So he's not. Again, like you see him get the touches, and then eventually he'll break one out, and he's not getting that opportunity to do that because he's not getting the touches. But when you have a rookie quarterback in a brand new system, you can't, unfortunately, have the patience for that sometimes, especially when you're in these close games. Every single one of these games has been very close. So if we see them, get off to a big lead, it's possible you might see more Khalil Herbert, and then maybe you see him break one off, and then you're going to see even more fans saying, "Oh, we need to get Khalil Herbert in there." The other thing is, I know you talked about the trade. I don't think that that's going to happen because if you look at the NFL, running backs drop like flies. It's almost it might be worse than quarterbacks, right? So you're going to need him at some point in the season. We're only into week 4. He's going to get his touches. He's going to get his opportunities. This is probably his last season here in Chicago. Unfortunately for him, fortunately for him, I think he's going to find a new home, and maybe he'll find an offense that he fits better and do more and achieve more. Yeah. But he's not going to get a big contract. He's not going to return big trade value.
Yeah, he's just a nice player,
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not just enough in the NFL.
Right. All right, we got 3 more, so let's do these quick. The Bears are better without Teven Jenkins right now. And I put in right now for a reason.
I that's a tough one for me. I'm going to say because he put right now, I guess I will say news. That's fine. He has not been playing well. But, my whole thing always is growth. It's always growth and improvement. Try to be better tomorrow than you are today. And if we're going to be where we want to, it is coach speak. It's very cliche, but it's something that if you really buy into, it really can make 100%. A difference. And if we want to get to where we want to be at the end of the season, we need Teven Jenkins to be that mini Quentin Nelson that he looked like early on when he first moved to guard. How do we get him there? Does he got to get fully healthy? He just got to get past whatever disappointment there might be from not getting an extension? I don't know what's going on, but he has not been good. Not been good to the point where getting Nate Davis back in there looked better, right? Yeah. So because you say right now, that's news. The line's better right now without him, apparently.
And there's the reason why I put in there, because I wanted it to be news, because I feel like the ones that I've been seeing out there on social media doesn't include the right now. They just want to just write him off. I'm not ready to do that yet. He's given us a couple good years when he's healthy. I expect that to hopefully bounce back. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe this little bit of time off as he's dealing with the rib injury, he'll be able to, reconnect with himself mentally and then get back out there physically. One of his offensive line mates, though, I'm getting a little bit more frustrated with. And news or noise, Braxton Jones has reached his ceiling.
Yeah, I'm going to be super quick with that. That's news. He's made no improvement in 3 years. The end. New.
I don't remember who did it, but I saw somebody posted a side-by-side pick thing on Twitter today where it was when he was in his rookie year versus now, and he just looks so much worse.
I would say there's even almost, it looks like he's regressed. There's one bull rush that he could kind of tell there was a little bit of space between him and the defensive end, but he was still getting bull rushed, and you can just see that he was upright and hunched over. That's not a football. That's not an athletic position. There's no sport where you're supposed to have all your weight over in front of your toes. I don't know what.
Skiing.
Yeah,
but if you get too far forward, you're gonna fall.
Right. So it's just, I don't know what is going on with him. You know what I'm saying? I just one time, just get so low that you fall backwards that way because you got too low. Just try it. I don't know. It's bad.
I think it's news, and I think they are going to be locked into spending some offense, either a first or second round pick on a left tackle.
They should have 3 premium picks next year. One of them probably could be a tackle. I don't know what the free agent market is. Maybe this is where you spend some of your cash because you should have a nice rollover this year, depending on what happens with the trade deadline. Or, Amagaji. Let's, at some point, Braxton will have to come out for a series, and maybe Kron will get in there, and we'll see.
You got to see him. All right, last one here is Darnell Wright, Gervon Dexter, and Tory Taylor over Jalen Carter is looking fantastic. It's looking great.
I mean, that's news, all the way. Was Dexter part of that?
Yeah. So, no, but the reason I put him in there, so technically it's just Darnell Wright and Tory Taylor.
Yeah.
Were the 2 picks, right?
Right.
But the fact that they passed on him and then their very next pick was Gervon Dexter, right?
Yes. So that's why. Either way, it's news. It's absolutely news. Obviously on draft day, it was news according to Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham, right? So, and then you look at, I'm not saying Jalen Carter is not a fantastic player. Obviously, he's a wrecking. I don't know if he's even wrecking ball. I don't think he's even hit his ceiling yet. But Darnell Wright is looking not like a perennial All-Pro, but solid tackle, which whatever. But Gervon Dexter is looking like a monster in there, and I don't think he's reached his ceiling either. And then Tory Taylor is finally made it look like a 4th round pick finally, but what a way to player of the week, right? Special teams player of the week.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun to see what he did. And it is almost, I'm not saying we're there yet. He's got to do this for a couple more games, but it's almost like you want the Bears to fail on 3rd down so you can see Tory Taylor punt. I don't really mean that, but yeah, he's fun to watch.
Yeah. So I'll just go in order real quick. So Darnell Wright, we've talked about him enough. He's been struggling, but he has also improved, I feel like, week over week. I think he's looked better the last couple weeks than he has in the beginning of the year. Had a dumb penalty that was called on him this week that
it's not just him though either. I mean, it's
it's the whole league.
Some penalties up and down the offense is what I'm talking about too.
Oh, right. But that particular one where he wasn't lined up. Yeah, exactly. As far as Gervon Dexter, here's his stats this year. I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to try not to. I think I got it. Gervon Dexter has 12 tackles. Jalen Carter has 9 tackles. Gervon Dexter has 6 quarterback hits. Jalen Carter has 2 quarterback hits. Gervon Dexter has 3 sacks. Jalen Carter has no sacks. Gervon Dexter has 3 tackles for loss. Jalen Carter has 2 tackles for loss. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's the only reason why.
Yeah, I mean, that's saying, you
can't always do.
Jayden Daniels is better than Caleb Williams because of 4 games. But yeah.
Exactly. But no one last year, I shouldn't say no one, not very many people last year thought Gervon Dexter could reach this point. I thought he could after watching the film more and more after he talked about the type of system that they were running in college and how he had to actually play the run more than play the pass. He got his off the ball is so much faster this year than it was last year. And that started to develop at the end of last season. Absolutely love it. As far as Tory Taylor, like you said, NFC special teams player of the week. Why? Because he had 3 punts inside the 10 and a net average of 55 yards in punting. It's insane.
He's very close to getting 4 inside the 10 as well.
Yeah.
One of his touchbacks was just didn't quite work out.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the first half of the show. We're going to hit that that ad button here. So please enjoy these ads. We will be back real quick. Welcome back, Hellas Huddlers. Before we jump into the second half where we get more into the Carolina Panthers preview, if you are looking to make bets on these games in the NFL, please head over, support our show, head over to our sign-up page with BetStamp. It's going to be signupexpert.com/huddle. And what BetStamp does is it gives you a list of all of the sports books in your area, all the DFS sites in your area, and it shows you all of the sign-up bonuses. So if you're missing one of those sports books, maybe you don't even know of some of the other ones that are out there right now, get those good sign-up offers. Check to see which one has the best odds for you. Make some bets, hopefully make some money. All right. Now we're going to get into the Chicago Bears and Carolina Panthers injury report. I'll touch on the Chicago Bears. There's not much to talk about. And then Bob's got some updates here on the Carolina Panthers. As far as the Bears go, again, we already mentioned DeAndre Carter wasn't playing with that rib injury. He did not practice again. Obviously, Teven Jenkins, rib injury, did not practice. Zach Pickens still isn't practicing, so he's trending towards the being out. And then Terrell Smith is also hurt still from the week before, did not practice. Cole Kmet, Montez Sweat came up as limited participants, but that's not anything I'm too concerned about. That's it.
Yep. On the Carolina side, again, we got a team coming into Chicago banged up. Most notably recently, their star linebacker Shaq Thompson out with an Achilles. Their other middle linebacker Josie Jewell sat out of practice with a hamstring. That's never a good sign. And their big defensive lineman, Derek Brown, one of the guys who was thrown around as a potential part of the trade with Carolina where we got DJ Moore, he's out for the season. So he's a monster, and it's something that our offensive line is not going to have to deal with. So that's nice. Adam Thielen went on the injured reserve a week ago. Deontay Johnson, their big wide receiver acquisition this offseason, didn't practice today due to an injury. So they're coming in banged up. So we'll just kind of have to see what happens with the second week in a row where just like on paper, the roster is just stronger than, the Bears roster is just stronger than the opponent's roster.
Yeah. I think we're catching him at a good time, but at the same time, Andy Dalton revenge game.
Yep. I'm so scared of the Andy Dalton revenge game.
Justin doesn't know it yet, but we're starting him in UFFL.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not putting it to Andy Dalton. He's whatever. You got to have respect for guys like him who just stick around the league for 18, 15 years, whatever he's at, because he's just good enough to be around for 15 years. You got to respect that.
Yeah, and he's been playing well for them. He's made them look a lot better than when they had Bryce Young. I would have much rather seen Bryce Young under center. But yeah, it's going to be another good matchup. And here's the thing: is if the Bears do lose, is at the end of the season? No. Are fans going to go absolutely batshit crazy? Yes.
It'll be bad because the matchup is just exactly what you need. Like their offense with Andy Dalton's been better, but it's like we are bordering on a championship level defense here in Chicago. Andy Dalton can't come into our home and, move the ball on this defense. That just can't happen.
And it's not the defense that he's familiar with. He wasn't here under Matt Eberflus. And then the one thing though I am a little bit concerned with is the Bears' run defense has not been as good this year as it was last year. Granted, it wasn't as bad as it was 2 years ago. My only concern is Chuba Hubbard is coming off back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. So there is some talent there in Carolina. It's not as good as the Bears roster, but again, any given Sunday,
and then the flip, like if their offense is stronger unit than their Panthers offense, stronger unit than the Panthers defense, like the Panthers defense, like they've given up 47 points to the Saints, then 26 points to the Chargers, 36 to Vegas, and then 34 to Cincinnati. Like,
yeah, they're 1-3, right? Only
so this is the exact type of defense that the Bears need to face right now. They're feeling a little bit better, feeling a little bit of confidence. If they can, kind of eliminate some of these penalties and just add 2 or 3 of these intermediate chunk completions, then they should put up, 28 points pretty, not easily. It's hard to do in the NFL, but they should get there. This is a team that you can do that against.
Yeah, I am curious to see if DeAndre Swift can have a bit of a back-to-back showing. Carolina is not good against the run either. They're actually currently giving up, if we look at it from a fantasy perspective, they're giving up the most points to running backs in fantasy.
Okay.
505 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. But what's also interesting too is they are one of the worst against the receiving part of the running game. They've given up 130 yards through the air. I'm sorry, I lost it. Stupid advertisement. Only 1 touchdown though. So Swift has got a chance to, get that back-to-back week in, and hopefully, Caleb Williams can build off of his efficient performance where he threw for over 70% completion.
70% completion, that's a good number to get to. Yards per attempt, or good enough yards per attempt. Touchdown, no turnovers. Like that's a great line from your quarterback to go in and beat a bad football team.
100%. I don't really have much else to say about the Panthers.
There's really not much. You guys gave credit to Eberflus in the last game. He really didn't do anything egregious to cost them. And I actually think he out-coordinated McVay in the fourth quarter. So give him some flowers there. Like he really played well or coached well. And he's going to have to do it again. Not that Canales, the new coach there in Carolina, is already proven. But, you can't go into a game like this where you have more talent than the other team and give anything up because of coaching. So Eberflus is going to have to come and do it back-to-back games.
So that's a good segue into the fact that I forgot a news and noise earlier. I just completely read over it, even though we mentioned it. There was on Twitter a guy named Sniper_1154 who posted this that I saw today. Bears go 9-8 on the season, but they go 0-6. They don't win a single game within the NFC North. You said there was a similar comment from Colin Crane.
Yeah, Colin Crane on our video, something along the lines of the Bears are an average team at best, and they can't compete with the Vikings, Lions, and Packers.
There you go. So there's that connection with the NFC North. So if that happens, Sniper wants to know, do you have to fire Matt Eberflus? Is that news? Is that noise?
I'm going to say noise because it's kind of a similar thing I said last week about Eberflus. Like this, this Bears regime already kept Eberflus around, knowing full well he was the worst coach in the division. Right? So it's, it's just it's just not going to happen. It won't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw recently a ranking where I think it was the top 15 coaches in the NFL, and all three of the other NFC North teams were in it, and Matt Eberflus obviously was not.
Yeah.
So, so I agree that is going to be noise. I think I've already said enough that I think he's going to be sticking around, even if it's a poor season. I will give props to a stat that I didn't know regarding this team that Adam Rank threw out there this week, but they have the longest home winning streak in the NFL at 7 games.
Yeah, I saw that same. I don't know if it was from Rank, but I saw it. Yeah, going out at work today. Yeah,
going back to November, I think is when it goes back to. So, mad props to Eberflus and the guys for that one. I guess
fans out there, make Chicago a tough place to play.
Yeah, I've been to enough games to know that stadium can get loud. All right, well then, prediction time. Prediction time. The Bears play this Sunday. I think it's a noon start.
Yep, noon start.
I believe it's on Fox this week and not CBS, so hopefully it's a little bit of a better broadcast.
We'll see. So the last week when I did my prediction, I forgot to bring out the spread and over under, and I definitely would have recommended the over last week, and it did hit barely, but it did hit. This week, the Bears opened at 5.5-point favorites, and now they're only a 4-point favorite. So I'm not exactly sure why the line moved that way, which is always concerning. And then the over-under is 41.5. So I do have the Bears. I just told you what the defense for Carolina has given up. So I got I kind of got a big Bears win here. I got 27-13.
Well, you got them covering. Even
I got them covering for sure.
Yeah.
I just don't see Carolina moving the ball enough to hit that over on the 40, 41, but that's a tough under to play. But I do 27-13 Bears.
Yeah, so that's interesting because I actually have the Bears winning also, and I have them getting a weird score. I don't really know why or how it's going to come to fruition, but I have them winning this game 29-17.
Okay.
It's a weird one. If you're playing squares,
yeah,
you might actually get it. Might actually get it with that 9 in there.
There you go. But yeah, it should hopefully be a frustrating free game. That first half this past week against the Rams was still very frustrating. Our text chain for the first half, at least me, that was stupid. That was stupid. That was stupid. So hopefully we just don't have another stupid half of football. We just play a clean game beginning to end against a team who's just hurting and isn't good.
That's what needs to happen. Is you can't have these stupid penalties that just keep killing this offense.
Stupid penalties, stupid play.
Get a good play, penalty. Get a good play. It's like the momentum is just killing them. They got to get that just going. I don't know if it's do a high tempo, quick offense to get started. Do something.
Yeah, we love to just get a fun, stress-free Bears win.
Yeah,
that would be so nice.
Yes, I will be looking forward to that. All right, well, that's it for me. I think that's it for you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, hit that subscribe button, get entered into that free jersey giveaway. Please share this with friends, family members, neighbors, whoever. Let's get this going. I'm hoping to give that jersey away as soon as possible. It's just sitting there burning a hole in my pocket.
Can't wait to send it out.
That's right. All right, for now, bear down. I always do it wrong. Claws up. Can't find my cursor.